Hello, my name is Rob. I am the owner and creator for the Lair of OmnusI YouTube channel. And I am making this video for the RPGaDay 2019, courtesy of the RPG Brigade. This year we're doing individual topic words, and today, on the 21st of August, the topic is vast. What can we do with vast? Well, I do believe that vastness is an essential feeling for a highly magical world. Not that the world itself has to be tremendous, but if you really want to play up the character of magic, you really want to have a good grasp of all of the different possibilities that magic brings. There's numbers of ways that you can do this. Many of them, especially if your group is a veteran group that kind of has played in the game that you're running and knows things inside and out, a lot of that involves creativity on the part of the game master to make the world bigger and to keep adding to it and enriching it. For instance, if you and your group are playing, we use a popular example, 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, or Pathfinder, whichever you'd like. And you have the book, you have all the books you need, and your players have played, and you've run through a campaign. It was a great campaign. You used all the stuff from the book. Lots of different items and monsters and things, and the players have had great adventures. So then, you start up another game, and you've got the book. And the players start seeing some things that they're familiar with, and they start having expectations. About healing potions. Healing potions are always blue, or they're always found in white ceramic bottles, or every sword that you find is generally going to be a +1 sword unless it's made of a particular metal, because that's how you decide to make it so that a person could tell what's a +1 sword, what's a +2 sword, etc. The world seems a little bit smaller because the players have expectations that can be met fairly easily. If you continue to run your game in the same fashion, they're going to see the world as being predictable, common. And all that magic that you have the potential of using, well, you'll be using magic, of course, but it'll be less magical. It'll be mechanical, almost. If the players find a troll, and they always have the answer for that, they whip out acid, they whip out torches, they're ready to take the troll down because they know how to do it. Well, that makes the troll a lot smaller. It's a problem that you have already solved. Makes the world a bit smaller. Now, if you want to expand your world and make it truly vast, that means going off to the edge of the map where here be monsters. It means occasionally throwing in something that defies the character's knowledge and challenges the player's expectations. An example I will give you is in my own adventure that I've created called The House of Wonders. It is the adventure is the players are minding a magical pawn shop while the owner is away, and they have the chance to make a fair amount of money by doing this well. Along the way, they will meet interesting characters, and different events will happen. It's over the course of 3 days that this adventure is going to take place. But the place is packed with magical items, some of which sound very exciting and fun. So, for example, there's not a single +1 sword in the place. There's not a single bottle of anything that you are going to find in the player's handbook. Everything is created by me. So, on its face, even if I've got veteran adventurers, veteran players who have played this game, they're not going to have a clue what most of this stuff does, outside of the name itself. And maybe a vague sense of, this could do this, or this could do this. For instance, the Flaming Sword of Fury, which is an item in my game, Well, somebody could look at that, well, that's a +1 flame tongue sword. I know what a +1 flame tongue sword is. You'd be wrong, of course. It's not that. But if the player who is tending the shop is like, well, I want to examine the Flaming Sword of Fury, they might find the trick to the Flaming Sword of Fury. In that it is a sword that, minor spoiler alert if you're actually going to be in the game that I'm going to be running on this, but I'll only do the one item, so it shouldn't be anything too tragic. The Flaming Sword of Fury is a sword, naturally. It is a long sword, but unless you look really carefully, you will miss the fact that just above the cross piece, there are two thin runnels, little grooves that go about 6 inches along the length of the blade. And you'll also, if you really examine it closely, you will catch the stench of lamp oil. And what the Flaming Sword of Fury is it is a sword that's primary enchantment is to protect it from heat. Because there is a gnomish mechanism inside of the sword where the handle of the sword, the grip, underneath that is a reservoir for oil. There is a very finely precisioned pump that sprays the oil out of the two small holes by the cross piece down the runnels, and there is a flint and striker, which is cunningly camouflaged in the dragon's mouth relief that is on the cross piece, so that when you grip it a certain way and you slightly twist the grip, which is easy to do as you're, doing combat maneuvers, fine jets of oil are shot along the runnels and the striker sets it alight. So now you have a sword that is quickly lighting up with burning oil, to the fact that you see the flame expand from the cross piece out along the blade until about 3/4 of the blade has some burning oil on it. So now, when you're swinging the sword, the Flaming Sword of Fury, if you hit somebody, you'll do a little fire damage, and some of that flaming oil will stick to them. So that'll burn them for another round unless they can avoid it. There's also a chance of flinging burning oil on yourself, too, so there is a bit of a drawback to that. But the sword is completely immune to fire, so it cannot take any kind of damage from fire or heat. So that is the true magic of the sword, is that it is invulnerable to fire and heat. The trick to it is that it has a reservoir of oil, which is good for 3 fights unless you refill it. And as somebody who does a proper investigation check will find that out, and they will learn how to siphon oil into the pump so that they can fill the reservoir back up and reload their Flaming Sword of Fury. So it's a neat little item. I was actually creating it for my Alchemist Omnibus, but it'll work for this adventure too. So all of a sudden, there's 100 items, and all of them have a story or something different than what they were expecting. Magic is bigger and more profound when it's got more facets, more vastness to it. And the bigger you make your world and the more cool things, not necessarily size-wise, but because you can go crazy just building a bigger and bigger and bigger city until you have the biggest city in all of fantasydom. You'll never have players that'll find every nook and cranny that you did, but, that isn't necessary sometimes. Sometimes the ways that you make the world and enrich the world is what makes it vast and amazing and appealing to your players. Just a few things I've learned over the years. So if you want to use the Flaming Sword of Fury yourself, you have my permission. It's a fun little item that gets players excited about the concepts of new magic and gives it a couple little wrinkles along the way. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you did, please like, subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. I do love my new subscribers, and I engage with them whenever they comment on my videos. If you want to leave a comment here, you want to hear more about the House of Wonders and things like that, that would be great. I'm actually going to be running the House of Wonders at Gamehole Con this year, and also public demo games at the local hobby shop in my town of Fond du Lac. So if you're in the area, please stop by. I'd love to see you. Until then, however, I am Rob, and I will see you guys the next time I crawl in front of the internet and shoot another one of these videos. Thank you, and farewell.